Hey friends, Robert Band here. I have a special guest, Steve Dohan, CPA. Steve is a CPA in Miami, Florida, and he's up to the minute on all of the coronavirus stimulus. And we're going to just jump into the SBA loan assistance, which is for businesses. And he'll give you what it does and where it stands right now as it relates to the SBA's ability to take loan apps through the SBA approved banks. So Steve, go ahead with your presentation and I'll probably ask some questions at the end.
Before I get started with the SBA, I just want to make a note that there are state programs as well. I'm not going to really go into those right now. But as an example, Florida has a state program that you can borrow $50,000 interest-free for 1 year as a bridge loan. So
that's good.
I just wanted to tell everybody about that.
And who is that? Who is that with? Through which agency?
You go to FloridaSBDC.org, and it's through the Florida Emergency Management Department. And it's a very easy loan app, and it takes, I don't know, maybe an hour to prepare. But if you are not in the state of Florida, if you're in Colorado, California, New York, I'm sure that they all have similar programs. Your mileage may vary, as they say.
Okay.
So I'll just go into now what I understand is available to us from the CARES Act in the way of SBA loan assistance. And I'm not going to talk about the other things, family medical leave. There's all sorts of other things in the law. Some of them are very good. If you're a tribe, Indian tribe, you get special dispensation. If you run the Kennedy Center, you also get special things. I'm not going into those. There's currently two types of loans that you can get. One is an economic injury disaster loan. It's typically called an EIDL. The other is a paycheck protection program, and that's typically called PPP. And I just want to go through those two things with you. The economic injury disaster loan, this is filed directly with the SBA. If you go to the SBA website, they have a special part of their website is devoted to this, and you file it online. Your state has to have a declaration made that it's a disaster area. The governor and the president make that determination. In an EIDL loan, it's available for up to $2 million. The loan interest is 3.75% for small business, 2.75% for nonprofits, and there is no provision to lower those rates. This is only for employers with less than 500 eligible employees. The loan is basically for a period of 30 years. It may be less than that if determined by the SBA. You've got to have a credit history. You can't be a brand new company. You have to have the ability to repay the loan over that 30 years. And collateral, this is important because it really doesn't make any sense, but it's important to notice. Collateral is required for all loans over $25,000. The SBA accepts real estate as collateral where applicable. Also have to have a personal guarantee. The next part, though, is very interesting. The SBA will not decline a loan for lack of collateral. You just have to put up, if you have collateral, you got to put it up. If you don't, you cannot be declined. The other interesting thing about this loan, everybody talks about the grant of $10,000. Well, in this loan, after you apply for it, within 3 days of your loan application being processed, within 3 days after your loan application is processed, the lending company, the SBA, will give you a check for $10,000. It's not a grant, it's just an advance payment on the loan. But if they don't accept the loan, you get to keep it for free. I don't understand, but that's what it's. They say it's not a grant, but if they don't accept the loan, it's free money to you. So that's loan number one.
So everybody then, why not just apply for this EIDL, and you'll get the $10,000 presumably And if they approve the loan, you have to repay it. If they don't, you don't.
Correct. But the reason you might not want to do that is because when I go over the next loan, the PPP loan, you can't have both.
Okay.
That's the problem. Okay.
Okay.
You can't have both. This loan right here, the EIDL loan, is time consuming. There's a website thing that you have to fill out, kind of a pre-qualification. Then there's the SBA Form 5. There's personal financial statements that are due. It's also known in my business as the Accountants Relief Act because it gives us a lot of work to do. But there's a lot to do for this loan. It's just not a cookie cutter.
Okay.
Now, the next thing, though, is what I think is a great. Now, who would use this loan? If you don't have payroll, you would use an EIDL loan. If you have losses greater than 8 weeks of pay, you would go for an EIDL loan. Okay, that's who would do this.
Okay.
But this is the good one. This is the biggie.
Yeah.
The Paycheck Protection Program. Now, what that does, and again, it's a loan. It's up to $10 million. The loan amount is very simple. There's all sorts of things people say, well, I heard it's to pay rent and interest and utilities. No, the loan amount that you get is simply calculated at 2.5 times your average payroll expense over a 12-month period. That's how you get the loan. You don't add in your rent. You don't add in utilities. I'm going to show you where that comes in, though, because everybody thinks that they're supposed to add that into this. Okay. This loan is meant to protect your payroll and the people on it for a period of 8 weeks. But when you ask for the loan, you can get it for 2.5 months. Okay? So that's actually longer than 8 weeks. That's probably a couple weeks longer than 8 weeks. Okay? That extra half a point is to cover all these other things, your rent and all that other stuff. But when you apply for it, it's very simple. And they made it easy on purpose. Get your payroll, multiply it times 2.5. That's what it is. This loan is not done directly through the SBA. This loan is done through a bank. Has to be a bank that's a preferred SBA partner. But most big and regional banks are preferred lenders anyway. Okay.
Okay, Steve. So real quick, you call your bank, ask them if they're an SBA lender. If they're not, can they refer you to one, or may ask your accountant or your CFO or somebody who is a good SBA lender. That's number one. And number two,
but let me just make a point there. If your bank isn't, you go to somebody else's bank, I'm guessing you're going to be put at the back of the line only because that's what I've been told unofficially.
Okay. Now,
the banks are doing their customers first.
Okay, just to clarify, you said, well, it's an 8-week, it's meant to support your payroll for 8 weeks. And you said you really get 2.5 months because you're saying that the 2.5 times your average payroll is about 2.5 months of payroll. And the extra half month is maybe to give you a little cushion to pay your rent, your utilities, and your interest cost. Those were the 4 things that were in it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, the interest rate was capped at 4% in the act. The SBA came out 2 days ago and said that the interest rate is 0.5%.
Okay.
Not
That's
5,
good.
0.5.
That's good. I'll take that. Yeah.
And it's a maximum loan of up to 10 years, determined on a case-by-case basis. And you got to have some kind of credit history. Okay. That's pretty good, right? But here's the great part. Once you show the ability to repay the loan, then you get, after a 6-month period, you get to ask your bank to forgive the debt. Once you do that, and there's going to be a form and in writing, the bank then automatically sells your loan back to the SBA, and you provide the appropriate documents. You give them 8 weeks of payroll that you paid. You give them your rent for 2 months. You give them your utilities for 2 months and your mortgage interest for 2 months. And hopefully those equal what you borrowed, or they may be a little short or maybe a little over. If they're over, no big deal. If they're short, then you don't get that part of it forgiven. But when this happens, the SBA then forgives your loan.
Okay, Steve.
This is a major deal.
So you get the loan size is 2.5 times your average payroll, which presumably is a couple months, 2 months of payroll, if you will. And how soon, I mean, if you get an SBA lender, if you're lucky enough to have a relationship where they take you right away, they get your information, they process the loan. How long before, what is the soonest somebody could get the money, and what is the probable time horizon they get the money? And then you're saying it's a loan at somewhere between 0.5 point and 4%.
That's right now, it's 0.5 point.
Okay, and then that is, you're going to pay interest on that for 6 months until they forgive it.
No, you don't pay anything for the first 6 months, and maybe even up to a year, you don't have to pay anything.
Okay,
and when you ask for forgiveness, they forgive the principal and the interest.
So if the loan amount is only 2.5 times your average payroll, then how much is left if you get pretty much that forgiven? You're getting 8 weeks of the 4 things I mentioned forgiven. Isn't that going to sort of wash with the loan amount?
Yeah, and it's gone. The loan's gone.
Okay.
And this is the good news. I mean, this means that we could keep our people on for eight weeks and have the government pay for it, basically.
Okay, so go back to my question. What's the soonest and what's the latest someone can get this money?
In the Act, the time period that I understand from the Act says that they have to give you a response within 5 days.
Who, your bank or the SBA?
The bank.
Okay.
On the other loan, it's the SBA, but on this one, it's the bank. So the banks are all scrambling around right now to add this to their website because they want all this done automatically over the internet, right? They don't want to deal with this. They're only making 5% on this to process it.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's still decent money. So they get a $1 million loan. They're going to make 50 grand or whatever it is.
Okay.
But is it 50? Yeah. But I'm just saying that the bank should be okay. They're going to have websites. A lot of banks are putting out information about it, but they don't have anything done yet. Tomorrow is the first day that loans can be processed under this program. So all the big banks that I know and some of the big regional banks down here in Florida all tell me their websites will be up and accepting applications tomorrow.
Okay, and just to clarify, tomorrow is April 3rd, 2020.
That's correct. Now, the law says that they shall notify you within 5 days of your acceptance into the program. The law further says that they shall fund within 15 days of notification.
Okay.
If you believe that, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn. I don't know that we want to go up there, but I mean, this is going to be a disaster in my opinion, but that's what the law provides.
Okay, Steve, so if everybody rushes right now to get an SBA lender, do the online application starting April 3rd, should they or should they not terminate employees? So if they cannot afford to pay their people this week, next week, last week, and they can't wait for these funds to come in, should they furlough them, terminate them, because when they get the money, if they did terminate and they get the money in 10, 20 days, can they then rehire them and use that money to pay the payroll, back pay?
Actually, I don't like to say this all because everybody says it, but that's a good question, Robert. You can furlough employees right now. They can apply for unemployment, do whatever they have to do. And as soon as you get the loan, you can rehire them and you're not penalized at all.
Okay, so basically if you don't have the money in your business or in your individual funds to loan to your business, then you may have to terminate or furlough them so you don't have to fork over the payroll. And as soon as you get the money, you can bring them back.
That's correct. And
So,
this money is supposed to be used to cover salaries, payroll support, mortgage, debt obligations, and stuff like that. And you cannot receive an EIDL loan for the same purpose. So you can't have both. You can either have one or the other. If you've already applied for an EIDL loan and you got the $10,000, that $10,000 is applied against this program. You kind of got to give it back out of these proceeds.
okay.
If you applied for an EIDL loan and you've got it already, you can't apply for this one, is my understanding.
Okay.
All right.
Steve, a question. As I understand it, if you are a self-employed individual like me and you receive, fees, independent contractor fees, you can apply for this PPL loan.
That's correct. This is the application. Look at this thing. It asks you if you're one of these special interests. It asks you for your business name. Look at this number right here. Average monthly payroll times 2.5 equals the loan amount that you're seeking and how many people work for you. And how, what are you going to use this for? And I would check all those boxes.
Right.
Who owns the company?
Right.
What nasty things have you ever done in your life?
Right. Yeah, it's so simple. That's it, pretty much.
Here I am. I'm done.
Okay, so starting right now, somebody can go on and choose to apply for the EIDL, the bigger loan amount. Or starting tomorrow, they can grab, what is it? They're grabbing the forms from the SBA website for this PPL.
No, you're just going to go to your bank.
Yeah.
And hopefully your bank does this, because I feel that your bank is going to be a little bit more lenient than, say, my bank would be for you, right? Because they know you, hopefully. They know your business. They know everything about you. And this should be kind of a no-brainer for them. But you go to the bank. On their website, they should have a PPP loan application portal. And you fill out the application right there online. It'll be that SBA application I showed you.
Okay.
They may ask you for some supporting information like payroll tax returns or something like that. I don't think they will. And then you fill that out and you sit back and wait.
Okay. All right. So one other thing I would just mention to anybody watching is it makes sense to get to break even ASAP. So whatever you got to do to break even right now with cash so that you're not burning it. And if you then have to wait a couple weeks and get these loan proceeds, then you'll be able to hire back. And that's what this was intended to do. If they could have done it where they gave everybody money on the day that they passed the act, that would have been better, but there's always a lead time. So
look, it's going to take 3 weeks to send out the $1,200 checks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if this could be done in 15 days, that'd be a miracle.
Okay. Well, great. So if you have any questions, Steve Dohan and Company, what's the name of the firm, Steve?
Dohan Certified Public Accountants, and our website is, you can contact us through our website, www.uscpa.com.
Okay, uscpa.com. That's easy. Okay, Steve. Well, thank you, and maybe we'll do another one of these on the individual benefits, the stimulus package.
Yes, or we can update this in a week once we know what's going on.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.